Okay, so we're looking at the relationship on our triangle, and we're lining up starbursts around our triangle. So how many starbursts are on your short side?
3.
3. How many starbursts are on your next shortest side?
4.
Should be 4. And how many starbursts are on the long side?
5.
5. So do you guys, is there a pattern between the numbers 3, 4, and 5?
Yeah.
I mean, they go in order. But is there anything unique about these numbers?
Oh no.
Like, not really. There's nothing exciting going on with these numbers. I've got 3 starbursts, 4 starbursts, and 5 starbursts. And do we see any patterns? I don't see any patterns. Okay. We've been squaring numbers. Can we square these numbers? Let's square them. So, where I have 3, I'm going to add more until it makes a square. So, how many will that be? Not 5.
Wait. Hold on.
Count, let's count them. What was that?
20.
Try counting again.
26.
No.
20.
25. This is 25 squares. 5 times 5 is 25. How many squares are right here?
9.
9. How many squares are right here?
16.
Okay, now I want you to channel your inner Mrs. Barlow and find the relationship between those. I'm always making math problems out of strings of numbers. What are you seeing? I saw you doing.
No.
Do you see a relationship between these numbers?
16 plus 9 is 25.
16 plus 9 is 25. Yes, it is. Go back or go. Because there's a 90-degree angle right there. Okay. 16 plus 9 does indeed equal 25. So there is a special property of right triangles that this always works. Okay, go ahead and put your starbursts away. I'm going to put my starbursts away, and we're going to explore other right triangles. right triangles, okay? It only works with right triangles. So we have this triangle here, and this is the right angle. Okay, right there is the right angle. And there are different parts to this triangle, okay? This is called a leg, and this is called a leg. And the reason they're called legs is we could actually kind of make a person, a very, very freaky looking person, and this is a right triangle, and these are their legs, okay? And those are the legs. So this is a leg, and this is a leg. And this is called a very long word called a hypotenuse. Do you want me to tell you the most ridiculous story in the world on how to remember the word hypotenuse? It will help you remember it, but it will be ridiculous. So you guys want it? Okay, so Teeny Mrs. Barlow one day went to the park. And she climbed up the slide, and Teeny Mrs. Barlow was ordinarily pretty fearless. But that day she got scared of going down the slide. She was scared to go down the ladder, and she was scared to go down the slide, and she was just kind of freaking out within herself. And she didn't know what to do because she also really, really badly needed to go to the bathroom. She was in luck because this particular slide was a right triangle. And it had at the top a toilet, also known as a pot, right? There are other terms, but she called it a pot. So when she was at the top of the slide, she used the toilet at the top of the slide. That was a high pot in use. See, I told you it was cringy and terrible, but you're also going to remember it for like the rest of your lives. This is called the hypotenuse. And there is a unique relationship between the two legs of the triangle and the hypotenuse. We're going to call this leg A, and we're going to call this leg B, and we're going to call the hypotenuse C. And it doesn't matter which one is A and which one is B, but C always matters very, very much. C is the hypotenuse, and it's the one that's not touching the right angle. And no matter what your right triangle is, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So when the legs of our triangle were 3 and 4 and our hypotenuse was 5, like with our starbursts, right? A was 3, so 3 squared plus 4 squared equals 5 squared. 9 plus 16 equals 25, which it does. 25 equals 25. Now that right triangle is a very special kind of right triangle in that all the numbers are pretty. Usually all the numbers are not going to be pretty. What did we discover about square roots yesterday? Are square roots always just nice, pretty, tidy, beautiful numbers? No, they're often irrational numbers, okay? So let's figure out the hypotenuse of a random triangle, okay? So I'm going to draw just a random triangle. I want you guys to give me numbers. Give me numbers for my legs.
10.
10. Give me another number.
20.
6.
11.
10 and 6. We will go with 10 and 6, okay? So I want to find C. And I don't want to pull out my ruler. I'm going to calculate this. I know this is a right triangle. How do I know it's a right triangle? There's a 90-degree angle. Or somebody told me, if you're not told it's a right triangle, it's just like parallel lines. If you're not told it's a parallel line, it's not a parallel line. If you're not told it's a right triangle, it's not a right triangle, okay? So let's see if we can calculate C. We know that A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Now when you're doing your assignments, I want you to write this out at first so that I know which one are you substituting for A and which one are you substituting for B, and then you're finding C. Which one should be A? Should 6 or 10 be A? 10. Does it matter which one it is? We're choosing 10 because Brianna said 10 and she was the fastest. Now, if A is 10, what's B going to be? 6. Now we're stuck. Once we choose A, we're stuck on B, but it doesn't matter which one you choose. C matters though. C is the one we're trying to find today. Tomorrow we'll find A and B, but today we're finding C. Well, what's 10 squared? 100. What if you don't know that off the top of your head? Can you use a calculator?
Yep.
Always, 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 always. In fact, you're not going to be able to do this today without a calculator. What's 6 squared? 36 equals C squared. So what's 100 plus 36? 136. I love that you grabbed your calculator and then realized you knew how to do it. So, do I know that the square root of... Okay, wait. Let me hold up. I have C squared. Do I want C squared? I want C. So how do I get C if I have C squared? We're not going to test out numbers today. But what do I need to do? What action? Do I subtract? Do I divide? I don't divide. I don't multiply. I'm going to take the square root. What number multiplied by itself equals C squared? C. That's what I want. I want C. But if I do the square root of one side, I have to do the square root of the other side. Do I know off the top of my head what the square root of 136 is? Nope, actually I don't. It's some horrible irrational number, okay? So I'm going to use a calculator. We're not guessing numbers today. 136 square root, and I get 11.66190379. Do we want to write all these numbers? No. Okay, so we're going to review rounding because a lot of you struggled on rounding yesterday. Let's review rounding. We want it to the second decimal place. So I'm going to look at the third decimal place. Is this greater than or less than 5? It's less than 5. So what happens to this 6? It doesn't go up. It goes up if it's greater than 5 or 5 or greater. So if it's 1, it just stays the same. So C is 11.66. And I'm going to write this over here and I'm going to look and I'm going to say to myself, does this make sense? I had a triangle. If this is 10 and this is 6, would this probably be 11.66? Why not? Makes sense to me. The hypotenuse is always going to be the longest side. If you do your math and you find that the hypotenuse is not the longest side, then it is wrong. Okay? But the hypotenuse is always going to be longer. If I found that the hypotenuse was 136, would that make sense? If I had a slide that was 10 feet by 6 feet, would the slidey part be 136? No, that doesn't make sense. So then if you find that it's 136, then you can say to yourself, oh, I think maybe I made a mistake. And you'll know that your answer doesn't make sense. Mariah, please stop that and listen to what I'm teaching you right now. Okay? Or I will take that away. All right, should we do one from your assignment? Let's do the first one. You guys are going to have to help me with it because I don't have one in front of me.
It's ACB.
Okay, give me the legs.
6 and 8.
6 and 8. And we're trying to find C. Okay? All right, tell me, I'm going to choose a popsicle stick. What? Oh, here's this. Pythagorean theorem. What is the Pythagorean theorem? Somebody call it out to me. What's the Pythagorean theorem? What's the formula that we're using for this?
Measures of the legs.
I want specific. What is it? What am I using? Like, tell me so I can write it down. What is it, Jose? Why are you raising your hand? You guys are going to have to use this. What is it, Honora? Very good. You close enough, Jose, to be able to read that?
ABC.
ABC. What about ABC?
A times
A squared plus B squared equals C squared. If I ask you what's the Pythagorean theorem, you tell me A squared plus B squared equals C squared. You are going to memorize this, okay? Because you're going to use it over and over and over again. I am not going to give you the Pythagorean theorem on a test. You're going to have to memorize it, okay? What's A? What's A in this triangle?
8.
8, sure. Could it be 6?
Yes.
Sure, but we decided it's 8, so it's 8. 8 squared plus 6 squared equals C squared. I don't know what C is. What's 8 squared? I want everybody to go get a calculator right now. I want everybody to stand up and go get a calculator if you don't have one. There is no way you can do, and I'm going to choose random popsicle sticks. You guys are going to tell me these things.
Crackhead.
Are you aware I'm videoing this?
Yeah.
Yeah, then don't make comments like that.
And you're dumb.
Don't make comments like that either.
I can't hear you.
Yeah, I'm happy.
They can.
I can't.
It's a pretty good microphone.
Yeah, it's called the recording record.
Okay. All right, I'm going to choose a popsicle stick because you guys are not going to just sit there. Everybody right now, find out what 8 squared is with your calculator. Don't tell me. I am choosing a popsicle stick. If you feel like you need to talk out of turn, I'm going to have you sit in the hall because everybody needs to participate. We've got a lot of people just sitting there not doing anything. All right, do we all have it? Okay. I chose one person who's not here.
Who?
Actually, one of the 2 people. Giselle, what is 8 squared? 64. Now, everybody find out what 6 squared is. Okay? Everybody? You guys have it? Lori, what's 6 squared? 36. Okay, now you guys are going to add 64 plus 36. Do you need to go out in the hall? No, you're not calling them out. Damn.
Again.
Okay. Lori, again. What's 64 plus 36? 100. Okay, what am I going to do? Now, whoever wants to answer this can answer this. What am I going to do to find out what C equals?
Adam.
We've already added.
Divide.
We have 100. We're not dividing. What's it called? You're doing it. Do you guys know what it's called over there? I know what C squared equals. I want to know what C equals.
Oh, you square the root of 100.
We do the square root, but we do the square root of both sides. The square root of C squared is C, and we do the square root of 100. So everybody on your calculator, find the square root of 100. I don't even, why am I putting that in? I know what that is. Grace, what is it? What's the square root of 100? 10. So what does C equal? Kind of an interesting thing. Our first triangle was 3, 4, and 5. What's 3 times 2? What's 4 times 2? What's 5 times 2?
10.
The 3, 4, 5 right triangle is extremely commonly used everywhere. So be on the lookout for it. If this is, let's pretend this is 9 and this is 12, then you know it's a 3, 4, 5 right triangle. We just multiplied everything by 3 and this will be 15. You see that? So the 3, 4, 5 right triangle is really, really common. Should we do another one or do you guys feel good? You want to do another one? Okay, I'm not going to do one from your assignment though. We'll just do another random one. But we'll do it all together. If you feel like you're solid, you can ignore us. If you don't feel like you're solid, I want you to come along with us. Give me numbers. 4 and 6. Nope, not 6.
10.
Oh, we-
7.
7. We'll do 7. We're going to do like a random awful number. Okay. And we want to figure out what C is. Okay. So, what is the Pythagorean theorem, Packer? What's the Pythagorean theorem?
A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
Okay, say it, Packer.
What he said.
Nope, you got to say it.
A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
A squared plus B squared equals C squared. What do we want A to be?
7 or 4.
7 squared plus 4 squared equals C squared. Okay? Who can tell me what 7 squared is? Everybody put it in your calculator. Maybe I will probably not choose your popsicle stick because I just did. I'm just saying. So Packer, sorry you know it. Okay, you got it? 7 squared. Mariah, what's 7 squared?
Hang on, I'm trying.
49. 49? What is 4 squared? Brooklyn, I promise your stick is in here. I know you're dying back there. But people are starting to rely on you to answer everything. And we need them to make sure they know what they're doing. Jose, what's 4 squared?
Huh?
What's 4 squared?
16.
16. Everybody add together. 49 plus 16. I do not. What is it? Okay. What is it?
65.
65. All right. What am I going to do? I don't want c squared. I want c. What do I need to do to c squared to get c? What's the word?
Square.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brooklyn.
Square.
Not square.
Square.
We're going to take the square root, but if I do it to one side, I have to do it to the other. So square root of c squared is c, and the square root of 65. Okay, what's the square root of 65? I don't know either. Everybody type it in. Packer, I want you to type it in, even though your stick has been chosen. So I want to make sure you guys know how to do this stuff. And there's added pressure. Whoever does this have to round it properly. So that person is Honora. What is the square root of 65?
8.06, and I rounded already.
8.06, and that is appropriate rounding. So 8.06. Let's do the does it make sense test. I've got a slide, and it's 4 feet long at the bottom, and it's 7 feet tall. Does it make sense that the slidey down part would be a little more than 8 feet? That makes sense. If I had gotten that it was 65 feet long, then Nora's laughing because it's ridiculous, right? It's completely ridiculous that it would be 65 feet long. No, it's just 8 feet long. If you get that it's 65 feet long, it's because you forgot to do the square root. Okay, the does it make sense test is going to play in more tomorrow. Okay, all right, how do we feel? We feel good? I'll be wandering around. This Pythagorean theorem is really straightforward. Honestly, the hardest part is memorizing it and remembering it. I recommend you write it down on your paper. It'll be up here on the wall. You can Google it. It's everywhere. But I do recommend you memorize it.
No devices.
If you need to Google it, well, at home you can Google it. Bye.